President, I'm delighted to welcome you and Mrs. Obama to London. Prince Philip and I are so glad that you are visiting the United Kingdom again. We have fond memories of our first meeting during the G20 conference in London in 2009. It also gave me much pleasure to welcome Mrs. Obama and your two daughters here almost 2 years ago. Your visit to this country inevitably reminds us of our shared history, our common language, and our strong intellectual and cultural links. It also reminds us that your country twice came to the rescue of the free and democratic world when it was facing military disaster. On each occasion, after the end of those destructive wars, the generosity of the United States made a massive contribution to our economic recovery.
A thousand years tradition, from the Knights Templar through the Illuminati, through the Masons, through the Puritan families, and all of those families that went to Yale, founded Yale, and have used Yale to become powerful. Are they done? No. There's all that tradition, and it has to be protected, and it has great wealth to protect. And how do they protect it? They'll find new means. They'll hold offices. They'll hold appointive offices and elective offices, and they will be in charge of huge amounts of money.
The Illuminati. Now, the Illuminati was established in 1776 by a fellow named Adam Weishaupt. In 1773, he was commissioned by one of the Rothschilds, House of Rothschild, to put together an organization called the Illuminati. And he culminated his work in May the 1st, 1776. If you'll notice, that's a communist holiday. Some of his goals, and the goals that he was commissioned to set up, there were 25 of them. And here they are right here. Here's the beginning of it right here. And rather than read each one of them, I'm going to summarize it, okay? Because we've got a lot of work to get into. Number one issue was men are inclined to evil rather than good. Number two goal and issue was to preach liberalism. Number three, use the ideas of freedom to bring about class wars. That's what we're doing today. Number four, any and all means should be used to reach our goal as they are justified, any and all means. Number five, their rights lie in force. We're talking about the Illuminati rights lie in force. Number six, the power of our resources must remain invisible until the very moment when it has gained the strength that no cunning or force can undermine it. And if you will notice, it's been a very few people know about the Illuminati, so they have maintained their invisibility until most recently. Number seven, advocated mob psychology to obtain control of the masses. Number eight, used alcohol, drugs, moral corruption, and all forms of vice to systematically corrupt the youth of the nation. I mean, I don't need to document that one. About South Central LA, CIA drug operations coming in there. Number nine, seize property by any means. We're seeing that on a daily basis. Farmers, businessmen, people who are arrested on nebulous charges, their property being taken away from them. Number 10, deal with the use of slogans such as equity, liberty, fraternity into the mouths of the masses in psychological warfare. Number 11, dealt with war. Number 12, told those present that they must use their wealth to have candidates chosen to public office who would be obedient to their demands and would be used as pawns in the game by the men behind the scenes. The advisors will have been bred, reared, and trained from childhood to rule the affairs of the world. Number 13, control the press. If you heard my lecture yesterday on Oklahoma City, I documented that the mainstream media is being controlled. Number 14, their agenteurs will come forward after fomenting traumatic situations and appear to be the saviors of the masses when they are actually interested in just the opposite, the killing of the masses. The riots in Watts, the riots in South Central LA, folks. Number 15, create industrial depression and financial panic, unemployment, hunger, shortage of food. Use this to control the masses or the mobs, and use the mobs to wipe out all those who dare to stand in the way. Number 15, create industrial depression and financial panics, unemployment, I've already covered that. Number 16, infiltrate into the secret Freemasonry to be used for their purposes. That's been documented many times. Number 17, expound the value of systematic deception, use high-sounding slogans and phrases, and advocate lavish promises to the masses, even though they cannot be kept. Number 18, detail plans for resolution, discuss the art of street fighting, which is necessary to bring the population to a speedy subjection. Number 19, use their agentures as advisors behind the scenes after wars through secret diplomacy to gain control. Number 20, establish huge monopolies towards world government control. Number 21, use high taxes and unfair competition to bring about economic ruin by controlling raw materials, organized agitation among the workers, and subsidizing competitors. gas, NAFTA. Number 22, build up armaments with police and soldiers sufficient to protect our interests. Number 23, members and leaders of the one world government would be appointed by the director. Okay, number 24, infiltrate into all classes and levels of society, of government, for the purpose of fooling, bemusing, and corrupting the youth members of society by teaching them theories and principles that we know to be false. Number 25, national and international laws should be used to destroy civilization.
The repercussions from the collapse of the US dollar will have untold repercussions around the world almost instantly as soon as the collapse begins. Everything else that will flow from this event will begin to make itself known very graphically. All those criminals that were never charged with their crimes against humanity or their attempted murder of over 4/5 of the global population will be among those heads by the truckload that will roll as the rage makes itself felt and turns into global outrage that will easily overpower any and all end-of-the-world disaster for centuries. The chaos once created cannot be contained again except by those that will have suffered the most under the crimes that have brought us all to this final edge of oblivion. The irony is that it will not be reported because global communications will be among the very first casualties of this revolt, along with food and water and the ability to just survive. So the numbers of the remaining population will no doubt dwindle to a mere shadow of the number of people that are on the planet at this very moment. But there will be no joy in surviving the flames or the chaos, because the human population will have been taken back to the time before the wheel was invented, if they are able to survive it all. Congratulations, America. You continued your refusal to be moved until there are now no options left for you to take. But then how else to deal with people that see nothing wrong with murdering so many billion people over the hundreds of years that we've been doing this to others? Because we could. When we were confronted by international laws or the national laws of other countries, we just ignored it all because we're special, and the laws of society apparently do not apply to the people of the New World Order or Israel. So we continued. Now, the fraud throughout the global financial world has created an impasse so great that no one can move forward anymore.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat